You ever notice how people don't really live anymore? They just sort of exist, like background actors in a movie nobody's watching. Everyone's on autopilot, doing the same tired routine every day. Get up, check the phone, drink something caffeinated, pretend to care, scroll, go to work. Stare at screens, laugh at nothing, come home, watch something you've already seen, fall asleep, and then do it all again. It's not life, it's maintenance. It's like everyone's just trying to keep the machine running long enough to say, hey, I made it another day. But made it to what exactly? Nobody seems to know. We're not living anymore. We're performing survival. We've turned existence into a performance review. Every smile, every opinion, every outfit, every goddamn meal, graded, shared, and compared. You can't just be anymore. You have to broadcast being. You can't eat food. You have to prove you enjoyed it. You can't rest. You have to justify it. People used to live to experience life. Now they live to document it. A pix or it didn't happen. That's the motto of the modern zombie. And that's what we've become. A species of exhausted, overworked, underfulfilled zombies who pretend to have purpose. Everyone's busy doing something, but ask them why and they'll panic. Why? Oh, well, I have to. They have to what? Pay bills, pay rent, pay for the therapy they need because of the job they hate that pays for the house they never get to enjoy. It's an endless loop of obligation disguised as ambition. The system doesn't want you living, it wants you available. Available to buy, available to click, available to obey. The moment you stop, it falls apart. So it trains you not to stop. That's the genius of it. They don't need to chain you up anymore. They just keep you busy. Keep you running from one task to another, one goal to another, one dopamine hit to another. Nobody's free because nobody has time to be. You ever notice how people brag about being busy now? I'm swamped, I'm slammed, I'm drowning. That's not a complaint. That's a status symbol. Being exhausted means you're important. Resting means you're lazy. We build a culture where burnout is a badge of honor and peace of mind is a crime. And here's the kicker. Most of the things keeping people busy aren't even real. Entire industries exist just to make people feel like they're doing something meaningful while doing absolutely nothing. Meetings about meetings, reports on reports, jobs that exist to create more paperwork for other jobs. Half of society is just pretending to work while the other half pretends to care. It's the global theater of productivity. Everyone's acting like they're saving the world, but the only thing getting saved is face. People say you have to keep yourself busy or you'll go crazy. No, you're already crazy. That's why you're keeping busy. Stillness scares people because it forces them to look inward, and nobody wants that. You might find out there's nothing in there. So instead, people fill every moment with noise. Notifications, entertainment, content. That's the new religion, constant distraction. Because if you're distracted, you don't have to feel empty. The world's a giant hamster wheel, and the best part? The hamsters think they're running towards something. They just gotta get that promotion, that car, that relationship, that house, that six-pack, that enlightenment. It's always that something, but there's always another something after that. You never get there. You just keep running. That's the design. Perpetual motion fueled by dissatisfaction. Nobody's allowed to be content because content people don't consume. You notice how the commercials never tell you to relax. They tell you to achieve, crush your goals. Unlock your potential. Become your best self. What's wrong with the self you already are? They can't tell you that. Because the moment you believe you're enough, you stop buying their crap. So they invent new problems for you to solve. Too tired. Buy this. Too lonely. Buy this. Too ugly. Definitely buy this. You're never enough. But don't worry, there's a product for that. And people fall for it because they've been raised to believe life is something you earn, not something you already have. They're told, work hard, play hard, and one day you'll get to enjoy it. Enjoy what? Half your life is gone before you even realize what IT was supposed to be. People spend their youth chasing careers and their old age chasing doctors. It's the great cosmic joke. By the time you can afford the life you wanted, you're too tired to live it. You'd think after thousands of years we'd have learned something about peace or happiness. But no, we've only gotten better at faking both. People don't smile because they're happy. They smile because it's expected. They don't laugh because it's funny. They laugh because silence makes them uncomfortable. Society's taught everyone to perform emotions like they're auditioning for a role called a functional human being. And the worst part, most of them don't even know they're acting anymore. The whole world's a reality show without the reality. Every platform, every feed, every conversation is a stage. Look how woke I am. Look how humble. Look how generous. Look how healthy. It's all branding. Even humility's been commercialized. People post about giving money to the homeless because God forbid you do something good without making sure the internet applauds you for it. It's not compassion, it's content. And people wonder why nobody feels real anymore. Because everyone's so desperate to appear good, they've forgotten how to be good. You can't have sincerity in a world addicted to approval. Everyone's chasing likes, not love. Validation, not connection. The approval of strangers means more than the respect of your own mind. That's why people don't have convictions anymore. They have algos. They don't think, they trend. You look around and everyone's performing a version of themselves they think the world wants. At work, at home, online, even in bed. It's all filtered, curated, optimized for maximum appeal. Everyone's a brand and authenticity is bad for business. You can't be too real. Real doesn't sell. Real doesn't go viral. So people shrink themselves down into whatever shape gets the most clicks. And every time they do it, they lose a little more of who they are. You ever talk to someone and realize they're just repeating slogans? A grind never stops. A stay positive. It is what it is. You could replace half the population with motivational posters and no one would notice. People used to think, now they recite. Because thinking takes time and time is money. And no one wants to waste money on introspection. What passes for communication now is just noise. People talking at each other, not to each other. One's got something to say, but nobody wants to listen. You can't have a conversation. You can only have a debate. You can't share a thought. You have to defend it. We've turned dialogue into combat and wonder into weakness. That's why nobody learns anything. They're too busy trying to win arguments about things they don't understand. And the education system, it's just the factory where this mindset is manufactured. Kids don't learn how to think. They learn how to obey, how to conform, how to memorize and regurgitate. Creativity gets punished, curiosity gets medicated, individuality gets crushed. By the time they're adults, they're perfect little soldiers, ready to follow orders, follow trends, follow rules, follow anything but their own instincts. That's not education. That's conditioning. Then they graduate into jobs where the same nonsense continues. Meetings, deadlines, performance reviews. Endless bureaucracy built around keeping people busy while producing absolutely nothing that matters. The world's full of people pretending to have careers that exist to maintain the illusion of progress. I work in brand alignment. I manage digital engagement strategies. Nobody even knows what these things mean, but it sounds important enough to justify the paycheck. It's all smoke and mirrors, and deep down they know it. That's why everyone's secretly miserable. They know they're wasting their lives doing things that don't matter, but they can't admit it. So they call it the grind. They turn their misery into a mantra. That's just life. No, that's not life. That's compliance. Life isn't supposed to feel like a prison sentence you serve until retirement. It's not supposed to be this constant chase for validation, approval, or purpose. But that's what they sold you. And you bought it. You bought the dream. The dream that if you just keep working, keep playing the part, one day you'll make it. But nobody can define what making it even means. The definition keeps changing. Once it was owning a house. Then it was owning two. Then it was being famous. Now it's being seen. Just seen. Not respected, not fulfilled, just noticed. Attention is the new currency, and everyone's broke but pretending to be rich. You can see it in their eyes. That dull, tired look that says, I'm smiling because I have to. That's the look of someone who's been sold a lifetime subscription to the illusion of happiness. They don't know who they are anymore because the world told them who to be. And they believed it. They believed the ads, the influencers, the parents, the teachers, the bosses. And now they're stuck performing a role they didn't even audition for. People say, it's just how the world works. But who built the world? Who made the rules? Who decided that the measure of a life is how much you produce or how many people approve? You did. We all did. Every time we chose comfort over courage, image over integrity, busyness over being. Every time we told a kid to stop dreaming and to be realistic. Every time we laughed at someone for being different, for not playing the game. That's how it happens, not through evil masterminds, but through a billion tiny acts of cowardice. You can't fix this system by joining it. You can only see it for what it is. A stage play that's lost its plot. And the moment you realize that, the performance stops mattering. You stop running on the hamster wheel. You stop auditioning for approval. You stop pretending to be busy just to feel important. You start noticing the world again. Really noticing. The sky, the people, the silence between things. You start realizing that life doesn't need an audience. It just needs awareness. And maybe that's the scariest truth of all, that real living doesn't come with applause. It's quiet. It's still. It's unremarkable to everyone except the person experiencing it. That's why people avoid it, because it doesn't look impressive. It can't be posted, can't be marketed, can't be sold. It's too real for that. But that's where freedom lives. Not in the noise, not in the hustle, not in the performance. In the stillness. You see, once you stop pretending, everything gets clearer. The noise fades. The competition disappears. You stop comparing, stop chasing, stop proving. You realize that being alive was never about looking busy or collecting achievements. It was about feeling something genuine, even if it's uncomfortable. Because feeling something real is better than living numb. And that's what most people are now. Numb, but numbness doesn't last forever. Sooner or later, the performance collapses. The job goes, the money fades, the audience moves on, and there you are alone with yourself. That's the moment people fear most, because that's when the truth shows up. The truth that you were never living for yourself. You were living for the approval of ghosts. But if you can face that moment without running, without distracting yourself, without pretending, that's when you finally start living. Because you realize something powerful. You don't have to perform to exist. You don't need anyone's permission to stop. You don't need to justify your peace or explain your silence. You can just be. And in that simple act of being, you reclaim something the world can't sell you. Your life. That's when you stop surviving and start living again. You ever notice how everyone's obsessed with being a somebody? Nobody wants to just exist anymore. They all want to be seen existing. It's not enough to live. You have to be recognized for living. You have to be out there. You're doing big things. You're making waves. Even if all you're doing is splashing around in the kiddie pool. That's the tragedy of the modern ego. It's not confidence anymore. It's a full-time delusion. A 24/7 campaign to convince the world you matter. While you secretly pray someone believes it enough to convince you too. People used to have souls. Now they have brands. Everyone's trying to build their image, craft their story, control their narrative. They sound like PR firms, not people. You can't even talk to someone anymore without feeling like you've walked into their marketing meeting. Here's what I stand for. Here's my personal truth. Here's my journey. Journey to what? Validation. The only finish line left in this world, because in a society where everyone's selling themselves, being unseen feels like death. And that's what this all really is, fear of invisibility. The ego is terrified of not mattering. It can't stand silence. It needs noise. It needs constant proof that it exists. And that's why people post every thought, every meal, every second of their lives. Because if they stop, they might disappear. They're afraid of the quiet. Because in the quiet, they'd have to face the truth. Without all the performance, they don't know who they are. You see it everywhere. The desperate need to matter. The endless hunger for acknowledgement. People chase titles, followers, awards, all so they can say, see, I count. But here's the funny part. None of it fills the hole. It just makes the hole hungrier. Because the ego can't be satisfied. It's an addict. You give it one hit of approval, and it starts craving the next. Compliments, praise, attention. Temporary highs that fade faster every time. That's why people keep upping the dosage. Louder, flashier, more dramatic, more self-absorbed. Look at me. Look at what I've done. Look at how special I am. The ego is the world's most exhausting drug habit. You ever notice how people can't even do good things quietly anymore? They need to announce it. Just donated to charity. Or just help someone in need. Or just being grateful today. Everything has to be seen, validated, and applauded. We turn kindness into performance art. Generosity used to be a silent thing. Something you did because it was right. Now it's a selfie opportunity. Hey guys, doing my part to make the world better. No, you're doing your part to make yourself look better. But that's the sickness of ego. It hijacks everything, even good intentions. It takes something pure like love or compassion and turns it into a way to feed itself. I'm not helping people because I care. I'm helping them because I want to feel like a good person. And the thing is, you can't even call that out anymore because the ego's got defense mechanisms. Oh, don't judge me, I'm trying my best. Of course you are. Everyone's trying their best to be seen, trying their best. And we act like this is normal, like it's healthy, like the pursuit of self-importance is the highest virtue. Every message out there screams to believe in yourself, love yourself. Be proud of yourself. Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe we've been loving ourselves a little too much, because real self-respect doesn't need applause. It doesn't need constant affirmation. It doesn't need to shout. But we've confused ego with self-worth. We've built an entire culture around self-obsession and called it empowerment. You see it in the way people talk now. Everything's a me, my truth, my energy, my vibe. Nobody's looking outward anymore. Nobody's thinking about us. It's all about me. And that's why everyone's so miserable. Because the more you worship the self, the smaller your world becomes. You start living in a mental echo chamber where every thought, every emotion, every insecurity gets amplified. And suddenly everything's personal. Everything's about you. Someone doesn't text back. A personal attack. Someone disagrees with you. A threat to your identity. Someone succeeds. A reminder of your failure. That's what happens when you live through ego. You turn the entire universe into a mirror and then wonder why you can't see past your own reflection. And it's not just individuals. The whole system runs on ego now. Every industry sells you the idea that you're the center of the universe. You deserve it. Or you're special. You're worth it. That's the marketing pitch of modern capitalism. Inflate the ego until it can't stop consuming. You're not beautiful enough by this, or you're not successful enough. Take this course. You're not fulfilled. Sign up for our retreat. The world doesn't want you humble. Humble people don't spend. The world needs your ego. It's the engine that keeps the money moving. And oh, does it move. Billions of dollars made every day off insecurity. Entire corporations exist to make you feel inadequate, so they can sell you the cure. And we eat it up. Because the ego doesn't want peace, it wants improvement. It doesn't want acceptance, it wants enhancement. Be better, do more, achieve more. It's never satisfied with just being. It always needs a new goal, a new comparison, a new enemy. And when it can't find one, it invents one. That's why people argue over nonsense online. Because without conflict, the ego dies of boredom. The internet's become one giant ego wrestling match. Everyone's performing intelligence, morality, or outrage. Anything to prove they're right. People don't post to connect anymore, they post to conquer. Every tweet, every comment, every argument is a little ego battle. And the prize? Absolutely nothing. Just the illusion of victory. You win the argument, you lose an hour of your life. You prove your point, you gain nothing but resentment. But the ego doesn't care. It just wants to feel important. And that's the trick. The ego can't tell the difference between fame and infamy. It just wants attention. It doesn't matter if people love you or hate you, as long as they see you. That's why we have celebrities famous for being awful. That's why outrage sells. That's why a cancel culture exists. It's not about morality, it's about visibility. People don't care what side they're on as long as they're seen being on a side. The ego doesn't want justice, it wants applause. And this disease spreads. You start seeing it in friendships, relationships, even love. Love used to mean giving yourself to someone else. Now it's just another transaction. What do I get out of it? People date for status, marry for validation, and break up for sympathy. Every relationship's a PR campaign. Look how happy we are. Look how heartbroken I am. It's all content. Even intimacy's been monetized. You can't tell the difference between affection and branding anymore, but deep down, everyone knows it's hollow. That's why everyone's so anxious. They can't relax, can't switch off, can't stop checking if the world's still watching. The ego's like a leaking balloon, always deflating, always needing more air. Compliments, likes, followers. Little puffs of validation just to keep it afloat. But no matter how much air you pump in, it's never enough. You know what's funny? People spend their entire lives trying to hold everything together. Their image, their plans, their relationships, their sanity. Like life's some kind of glass sculpture they're terrified to drop. They walk around with this invisible checklist of how things should be. And every time something doesn't go according to plan, they panic. They start saying things like, "This isn't how it's supposed to go," as if there was ever a rule book. There isn't. There never was. You were born. They gave you a name. And after that, everyone just made it up as they went along. But people cling to the illusion of order like it's oxygen. They can't handle the idea that maybe, just maybe, life isn't supposed to make sense. Because when you stop pretending, the whole game collapses. All those little lies that keep people moving. Hard work always pays off. The good things come to good people. Everything happens for a reason. Gone. And that scares the hell out of them. Because those lies are the glue holding their world together. Without them, what's left? Just chaos, randomness, uncertainty. A truth that no one really knows anything. And instead of making peace with that, people keep decorating the prison cell. They repaint it with positive quotes and call it hope. But losing that illusion, that's the moment you actually wake up. The moment you stop expecting life to be fair or logical, you finally stop getting angry when it's not. You stop fighting the current and start floating with it. It's not surrender. It's awareness. You realize life's not against you. It's not for you either. It's just happening. It doesn't care who you are, how much you've planned, or what you think you deserve. It's a river, not a contract. And the sooner you stop trying to control it, the easier it gets to swim. People think meaning comes from control. They think if they just plan well enough, achieve enough, fix enough, they'll feel safe. But control is the biggest illusion of them all. You can't control people. You can't control outcomes. Half the time, you can't even control your own mind. 1 minute you're calm, the next you're overthinking what that text meant. You're not the driver, you're the passenger with a map you drew yourself, pretending you know where you're going. And that's the joke. The big cosmic joke. Everyone's so busy trying to win at life that they don't realize the game was never meant to be won. There's no prize at the end, no scoreboard, no bonus round. The whole thing's rigged to end the same way for everyone. And yet, everyone acts like if they just play hard enough, they'll get special treatment. They won't. You don't get out alive. That's the contract. And once you accept that, suddenly all the pressure's gone. You stop pretending there's some great purpose you're supposed to uncover. You stop acting like every setback is a punishment. You stop chasing meaning and start finding it in the smallest, most unexpected places. The kind that don't need an audience. But you can't sell that kind of freedom. It doesn't fit on a t-shirt or an Instagram story. It's not flashy. It's quiet. It's the peace that comes from realizing you don't need to perform anymore. That you don't have to win. That you don't even have to try so hard to make it. Because there's nowhere to make it to. The whole idea of success collapses when you realize life isn't a ladder. It's a loop. You wake up, you live, you laugh a little, you cry a little, and then you die. The rest is filler. And yet people still cling to the act. Because if they stop, what will they be left with? Themselves. Just themselves. And most people can't stand that. That's why they fill the silence with noise, the space with stuff, the uncertainty with routines. They're terrified of being alone with their thoughts. Because the moment they sit quietly, the truth sneaks in. The truth that most of what they've been doing is nonsense. That they've been living someone else's script. That they've spent their whole life chasing approval from people who don't even like themselves. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending that your job matters more than your peace, or that your bank account defines your worth. You can't unsee the absurdity of people treating opinions like facts, or politics like religion, or success like salvation. It's all theater. Every argument, every headline, every self-help book. Just another distraction from the unbearable truth that none of this has to mean anything. But that's not depressing, that's liberating. Because if nothing inherently matters, then you get to decide what does. You stop trying to live the right way and start living your way. You stop asking, oh, what's the point? And start asking, what feels real? That's the shift. That's when you realize that losing everything you thought mattered might be the best thing that ever happens to you. Because the moment you lose the illusion, you stop being controlled by it. You stop needing people to like you. You stop needing the world to agree with you. You stop trying to be relevant, and that's when you become real. Relevance fades. Reality doesn't. It's amazing how much peace you can find when you stop auditioning for life, when you stop caring about how it looks and start caring about how it feels. When you finally understand that there's no scoreboard, no final grade, no universal audience keeping track of your mistakes. It's all just you in the moment you're in. That's it. The tragedy is people don't realize that until it's too late. They spend decades chasing validation, chasing meaning, chasing the next milestone. And then one day they wake up and realize they missed it, the actual living part. The smell of rain, the sound of laughter, the warmth of being held, the stupid jokes, the quiet mornings, all gone because they were too busy trying to get somewhere else. That's what pretending costs you. Presence, you can't live fully while you're pretending. You can't love fully while you're performing. You can't experience peace while you're defending a lie. That's why people are so tired all the time. It's not from working too hard. It's from maintaining the illusion. The mask gets heavier the longer you wear it. But once you drop it, something magical happens. You breathe again. You feel lighter. You laugh easier. You start noticing things you've been too busy to see. And that's when you realize how beautiful the world still is. Not perfect. Not fair, not consistent, but beautiful in its chaos. You start seeing the humor in it all, the absurdity, the randomness. You stop needing things to make sense. You stop taking yourself so seriously. You start enjoying the ride, because that's all this is. A ride. Short, unpredictable, ridiculous, and occasionally wonderful. And for the first time, you actually feel alive. Not in a performance way, not in a look how enlightened I am way, but in a real grounded, present way. The thing about truth is, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't make life easier. It just makes it clearer. And once it's clear, you stop wasting energy fighting what is. You stop looking for meaning in every corner and start finding it where it's always been. In the experience itself. You realize that peace isn't found in control, it's found in surrender. Not giving up, letting go. There's a difference. And when you let go, you finally stop carrying all that weight. The guilt, the shame, the expectations, the endless need to prove yourself gone. You see life for what it is. Temporary, fragile, absurd, and completely out of your control. And somehow that makes it more precious. Because when you accept that it's fleeting, you stop taking it for granted. You start appreciating the moments that used to annoy you. The inconveniences, the imperfections, the people who test your patience, all become part of the comedy of being alive. You start laughing again. Not the fake laugh people use to be polite, but a real, uncontrollable laugh that comes from knowing you're free. Free from pretending. Free from the pressure to matter. Free from the lie that life owes you anything. You start living not as a performance, but as an experience. Messy, unpredictable, and honest. And that's when life becomes worth losing. Because it's no longer a prison of expectations, it's a playground of moments. You can't own it, can't control it, can't keep it. You can only live it. And once you see that, once you really see it, you stop being afraid of losing. Because you realize you never really had anything to lose in the first place. That's the truth nobody wants to face. That freedom doesn't come from winning. It comes from letting go. And once you let go, life stops being a performance and starts being what it was always meant to be. A moment that doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful.